how to use LinkedIn to grow your consulting/service-based business. Everyone see that? Amazing. You can. Cool. Fantastic. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Piers. Amazing stuff. Good. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to close the chat box for now, just purely because I've only got my laptop screen that I'm presenting on. So like I mentioned, today's workshop, focusing in on LinkedIn as a platform. So the things that you need to be doing to start generating results from it. Now, over the last 3.5 to 4 years, I've spoken with, it's a lot higher than probably that number now. I've actually got to the point where I've stopped counting, but we got to the specific number of around 1,500. And when it comes to utilizing LinkedIn, what I've noticed is there are a number of reasons why people struggle. And as I bring up these reasons, these have changed recently. They're a completely new set based on the conversations that I've been having over the last couple of months. And these are things that people have said to me, right? So these aren't things that are plucked from thin air. This has just come from me jotting down notes, asking people what it feels that they're really struggling with, and then kind of my analysis and then my feedback back on it. And as I go through them, what I want to know is if any of these relate to you, and if there is one out of the 5 that really relates to you, what is it? Now, the first one is really about building credibility and also generating, I guess, authority online. So when it comes to trying to get your ideal client's attention, you've got to be saying certain things. You've got to get them to comment on your content. You've got to get them to want to respond to your messages. Typically, one of the reasons why people are struggling is because what they're saying doesn't position themselves in a way to be able to get the responses back. So the big symptom for number one is that you may be building an audience on LinkedIn, you may be utilizing the platform, but your target market, your ideal customers, the people that you want to respond to you, aren't. They're not commenting, they're not responding to messages, they're not sending you connection requests. That's number one. That's where people are really struggling. Number two is that they're posting online, and out of curiosity right now, how many of you are currently posting content regularly on the platform? Just give me a thumbs up, a yes. Who's currently posting online at the moment? What I'm seeing is lots of people are active on the platform. You're out there, you're visible, you're putting effort into it, maybe once, 3 times, maybe it's even 7 times a week. But the engagement that you get makes you feel like it's a bit of a waste of time. And so you know what you're posting is actually worthy of other people's eyeballs. Maybe you've seen other people's profiles, other people's content, and you've tried to create your own versions of it, but it's not quite working for you. I'm going to be talking to you about today in terms of how do you actually change that? What are the things you need to start putting into your content? What are the ways in which you need to start building your audience to try and get that up? But what lots of people are struggling with is getting engagement. That's another reason why they struggle. Number 3 is purely an audience problem. So you may have a great product, a great service, a great offer. However, you just don't have enough people that know what you do and want what you do. Really, really simple, number 3. Number 4 is the one that I've spoken about now for about 4 years. And it's the one which I spend quite a bit of time on in today's workshop. However, it's a bit of a refreshed outlook on this. But it's the fact that the way that you utilize LinkedIn and also other social media platforms is kind of with a scattergun approach. So throw a load of spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. And with that, unfortunately, becomes or breeds, should I say, unpredictability and therefore a lack of results on a consistent basis. So number 4 is that you don't have a predictable and sustainable process that leads to conversion. And then number 5 kind of this wraps everything together. It's a reactive / I guess, inactive strategy. So you utilize these platforms and your results are based upon someone reaching out to you in the future. So it's based on hope. Now, what I want to know is which one of those most resonates with you right now? What do you believe is the thing that's holding you back from generating results from this platform and kind of what's brought you here today? Like which one, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 is the one that most hits home with you? Typically, I see a combination of 4s and 3s, typically kind of where people are. Now, I will customize this presentation depending on what your answers are here. So we've got a couple of 4s coming through. So we'll definitely focus in on the process. Jerry's mentioned 5. So, okay, definitely on the strategy part. Piers is mostly around engagement. So getting his content seen, that's totally fine as well. So then we've got John C. Giselle and Dennis to kind of, again, have a bit of a mixture of 2, 3, and 4. Okay, great. Not a problem. This is good. So today, obviously, I'm going to be covering every element of this, but I'm going to be focusing a lot on, it looks like, kind of 2 and 3 and 4. So it's focusing a bit more attention there, which is fine. Now, I've broken this down into 3 specific sections. These sections are quite large, and they've got lots of information that you're going to want to take notes on as we kind of go through. So again, feel free to take screenshots. I will be looking at producing a replay over the next 48 hours or so for some people that couldn't make it. If you'd like the replay to this, all you need to do is just type replay in the chat, and I'll make sure you get added to the list so you can watch this back again in the future as well. So we've got clarity, we've got connection, and we've got conversion for you. Now, you'll be glad to know, I say this in every single one of my workshops. Actually, good question to ask. For those of you that are here, who is attending for the first time today? If you're attending for the first time, just put the number 1 in the chat. If you're attending and you've done multiple workshops with me, put the number 2. What I'd like to know is kind of the difference, because if you've attended like lots of these, you will know I don't spend much time talking about myself. Literally, this slide is kind of everything that I kind of got to say, right? So this is really so you know that I'm credible in what I'm saying. I've been sharing my journey online now for, I think, Jerry, the first time I spoke to you was a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember exactly when we started speaking, but like we'd spoken when I was still like 2 and a bit years, a bit of a beginner in it, really. Whereas now we've been doing this for going on 5 years, and I've documented my journey pretty much every step of the way. So from my first business, which was in property, all the way through to the co-founding the social selling suite with Pipeline 44. And everything that I share is backed up with evidence, right? Everything that I do, you're going to see stats, you'll see data, you'll see results, you'll see my own results, customers' results, because you know what? It's very, very difficult in today's day and age to know who to believe. I'm just here sharing my truth, like what I've done and the results that we've generated. And if you ever get bored enough, I shouldn't say that because it means you won't scan it. But like, if you ever get bored enough, you want to see the journey that I've been on, if you scan that QR code or just type in Chris Taylor, Northampton on LinkedIn, right? That's the way to find me, just from the place where I was born. But QR code, or come and find me on LinkedIn and connect with me. You can go scroll back through my content and you will see how I've gone about doing this. I'm a big person that learns from seeing how other people have done things and then applying it myself. It's why I have this business in the first place, because I love being able to share what I'm doing. That QR code will take you to my profile. For those of you that do, and we are new connections, some of you have been connected for a little while, but I am working my way through a little bit of a profile review and some content feedback for people. I'm doing that for all of my followers and connections. I've got a huge list of people, so it is taking a little bit of time. I'm typically doing around about 3 or 4 of them a week, but I am giving feedback back to people that come and follow me, just as a way of being able to share what I know with you. Okay, so QR code, come follow me, connect with me on LinkedIn. Now, why have I decided to run this workshop specifically? Now, I mentioned at the beginning, and this is really, really important for you guys to realize, like, I offer lots and lots of calls out to people just to help them, right? Just to give advice, share kind of what I've been through, because you know what? It's quite hard out there at the moment. I won't lie. Like, people are really, really struggling, it seems. And I've been running these workshops throughout August because it's the month where people tend to go on holiday, but have more time to learn and apply these things than ever in the year. August always tends to be a great month for us in terms of impressions, adding value, and also then generating business as a result. Now, what I've heard off the back of these conversations are people that are telling me similar stories. You can see kind of from the text on the screen there, right? People that have been working for years, right? So they've been in corporate careers, maybe they may be in business for a long period of time. And they go from being in these positions where they're the go-to person in their company that everyone seems to want to speak to. They're needed for everything. And then when they decide to start their own company, or they maybe pivot into something else, or then they start to look at these social media platforms, they suddenly become someone who's fighting for attention. And it's not a position that they've been in. And they're posting, their network, they're doing all the things that all these people tell you to do online. However, they're not seeing the results from it. And they're getting a little bit fed up, almost on the verge of giving up, believing that what they're doing just isn't worthwhile. Now, I don't know, I'm not going to ask you to kind of talk about whether this is you or not, but I know for a fact there are lots of people out there right now that are getting driven that little bit crazy from the time that they're spending on platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and getting very little return for the time that they've spent. And my business partner, Nick, has been in this position. Now, Nick is a very, very successful business person, right? So he went from being the go-to person in his industry. He ended up selling his company for, I think it was just over 500 million pounds, huge amounts of money. And even he turned around and said to me, when he first started using LinkedIn, that suddenly he became a nobody again. He went from being the person that everybody wanted to speak to suddenly having around about 500 followers on a platform and getting nothing but crickets when he was posting his content. Now, he went and attended one of my business partners, Sam Rathling's masterclasses. And they were looking at his content, and this is the sort of content that, again, was being posted. You may have seen, has anybody, this will be fun. Now, this isn't anything to be embarrassed of or anything to be ashamed of. It's what we've all done. I've done it, and I'm sure lots of people have. Has anybody been posting these sorts of graphics on social media before? Has anyone felt guilty of the whole Canva hack of going on there, creating some motivational quotes or business quotes and using them? Honesty is all I ask for on this workshop, because I've been there and done it. You can see Nick's been there and done it, right? We all default to it and then wonder why we get zero engagement. Now, Nick here again, we were looking at his profile, we're trying different things. And again, we looked at this content and we saw 20 reactions and 4 comments. This was consistent across his profile. Now, we did a bit of a content strategy with Nick, and we started to introduce certain content sources which we knew were going to work. Now, the biggest issue with Nick's content was the fact that he was extremely experienced. He had opinions on lots of things. Unfortunately, he was just not sharing them with an audience that cared. And so the first thing that you've got to do is build your audience up, and then you've got to feed them with the content that's going to trigger them. One of the first things to realize on this, which I'm going to teach you as we go through, but you can see at that time, I think he had around about 10,000 connections, and you can see the reaction numbers, right? 144 reactions, 211 reactions. Now, don't get me wrong, these are all vanity metrics. However, to be able to succeed on this platform, you need to be able to generate impressions. You need to be able to get your content seen by the right people. And you've got to be talking about subjects that your audience that you've got currently connected to you on this platform are interested in. And so what we took Nick from was a profile that was very, very inactive, that was getting very, very little engagement, from an account size where you can see back in the 11th of May, 2022, which was at 4,755, to an account that has now overtaken mine, that's near enough 27,300 followers. That is the growth that I love from a platform like LinkedIn when you start to use it in the right way. And I'm going to be sharing with you in all of this, all the different tactics that you need to be using to start seeing these results in the same way that Nick had. Nick went from being a nobody on LinkedIn, his words, not mine, to suddenly being somebody that's getting huge numbers on his content that he can then drive into the different businesses that he's now a part of. And it all begins with this beautiful thing that I like to call clarity. And these are the fundamental things that you need in place to start moving in the right direction online. Maria, the answer to that question is 100% yes. But first, before you start spending any time when it comes to your content, it's these 3 things if you want to start making money from this platform. So this isn't just about building a following. This workshop today is about making some money, generating some revenue. And it starts with your identity. We're then going to move into audience and then your offer. Now, identity was something I realized very early on, and it's the fact that showing up online, ticking the box of visibility isn't enough. And unfortunately, there are too many social media gurus out there, and I'm just going to call this out, that are saying that consistency is the answer, that are saying that you just need to document your journey and eventually things will happen. It isn't true. You need to be sharing stuff. Unfortunately for some, fortunately for others, depending on which side of the kind of the timeline that you sit on, need to put out certain things to get certain reactions. Now, I'm curious to know, because typically it's a 50-50 mix. Who here currently enjoys creating content? Give me a yes in the chat if you do. Who here doesn't enjoy creating content? Give me a no. I'm curious to see kind of the balance, because the people that this is fortunate for are the people that enjoy creating it. The people that it isn't fortunate for are the people that don't. And so with this, if you don't, you need to understand what you need to do to be able to get to a point where you don't need to post as much, but there's actually some work that you've got to do. You need to have a clear understanding of why someone's going to follow you in the first place. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? What are you going to share that's going to make somebody come back to your profile? So you'll notice you've got my profile there, Sam's profile there, Nick's profile there. Now, I'm going to pick Sam as an example here. Does anybody know or can give me a reason why you would follow Sam in the chat box for me? What is the thing that you may follow Sam for? Does anyone know? I mean, if nothing comes up here, this is going to fall completely flat on my face. But does anybody have any ideas in terms of what it is that you may actually follow her for? Why would you keep checking out her profile? Denise has said content knowledge. AJ's come back saying LinkedIn. Justin's also said LinkedIn. Mark's also said LinkedIn. So there's a few answers coming here. Some of you may not even know who Sam is, right? But there's a few of you that do. Piers has come back saying extremely knowledgeable LinkedIn. Maria, LinkedIn. Now, this is a common thread here of answers. Sam has positioned herself as a person that is extremely knowledgeable on the platform of LinkedIn. That is something that her profile says. It's something that her content has consistently said. It is something that she's gone out and spoken around all around the world about. This is the stuff and the specificity that you need to be able to start pulling in an interested audience. You need to know the answers to these questions. I'm not going to ask you what your answers are right now, but this is something that we work on with people all the time. But another big thing, and this is something that we worked extremely hard with Sam on, and also on my own brand, is to identify gaps in the industry. So the amazing thing about what Sam does is the ability to attract huge corporate businesses' attention. Sam's done business with some of the biggest companies on the planet, Mastercard to name one, Brother to name another, FedEx to name another. She has the ability to be able to attract that audience, but it's because we identified a gap in the market of a certain type of language that needed to be used to be able to attract those people. We attracted a certain number of referral partners to be able to get recommendations into those people. And we understood what content and resources we needed to create to be able to get the attention from those people as well. Some of you may know that Sam's a best-selling author, linked inbound, linked outbound. They were created because we knew to be able to get the attention of those businesses, we needed to be doing something different. And so with that, we drove people to those resources, and suddenly she was getting attention from bigger companies because you know what? She was worthy of the conversation. Now, with that, that is just a plan that you put together. We work on 30-day plans, 90-day plans, and then annual plans. You put them in place, you identify the gaps, and then you fill them quicker than anyone else can. And so the big thing that we all need to realize here is that if you don't know the answers to these questions, the only way of you figuring them out on a platform like by LinkedIn is by just trying and guessing, trying and failing. And unfortunately, lots of people just run out of time, and therefore they never really find the answer. And realistically, It all starts from building the right audience online. And with this, you can see my profile here, right? It's got 22,812 followers. On the right-hand side there, the 17th of January, 2023, I had 13,359. Now, the big thing that you need to understand here is that when I first started building my LinkedIn network, I was building my network up with people that just looked like my ideal client. Does anyone do that? They're out there and they're connecting with people that look like potential customers. Is anybody out there currently doing that right now? Now, that was something that I was doing. I used to filter. I used to go through second and third degree connections, and I used to go out there and I used to send out all my connections. Do you know what my biggest problem was? Was that I wasn't actually checking to see if those people were even active on LinkedIn in the first place. That was my first big problem. So I was sending these connection requests out and people may be accepting them, but they were using LinkedIn maybe once every couple of weeks properly. And so all the content that I was putting in, getting ignored. All the messages that I was sending, getting ignored. And therefore, everything that I was doing to build an audience, although my numbers may have been increasing, my engagement wasn't, and my revenue wasn't either. And so I made some changes. I focused in my connection building, so my network connection requests. I focused in on making sure that I was only sending them to people that were active on the platform. And I also stopped maxing out my connections just with people that looked like ideal clients. Let me explain why. Ideal clients aren't on platforms like LinkedIn to read information like mine. Some of them might be because we're in social media and it's a bit biased. But if you've not got a social media business, let's say you're out of interest, just someone in the chat, what is it that you do? What's your business? What are you? Are you in leadership? Are you in HR? Are you in finance? Are you in property? Like, what is it that you currently do? Just humor me with something. I'm going to pick the first one I see, health and safety training. Great, AJ, thank you very much. So if you're out there connecting with what I would find is maybe CEOs, maybe it could be facilities managers. It could be people that are operations directors, right? It could be people like that. They might not be right, AJ. I'm just going to guess. It could be people like that, HR professionals. They are not on LinkedIn to read content, right? To read content around health and safety training, right? They're just not. They're on the platform typically for their own selfish reasons to try and maybe look for maybe a new job. They might be on there because they're looking to start their own thing. They may be out there looking for staff members, all of that stuff. The biggest reason actually why they're on it is because they're bored 99% of the time. But that's a fact. We're all on social media 99% of the time because we're bored and we're scrolling. It's just what happens. And so the moment we realize this and we start to focus in on positioning ourselves in the right way. So looking at this, right, the way to be able to do this is rather than focusing in on just maxing it out with ideal clients, go out there and see if there are people. This is what I would do if I was in your position, AJ. I'd be going out there and seeing if people are posting health and safety content out there, and I'd be looking to see who's commenting on this content. And what I'd then be doing is going out there and connecting with those people because they're active. They're also interested in what I've got to say. The biggest thing with LinkedIn to realize is the majority of the time, it's about creating perception of credibility and positioning yourself to be in the right place at the right time. All right, that's how you get inbound. And so with health and safety training, I want to be the person that's got the most engagement, talking about the right things at the time when somebody's on there on LinkedIn looking for a health and safety trainer. And then from there, that brings out my inbound. My content, therefore, has just got to make sure that it gets enough attention to at least make it look like I'm credible and I'm worth speaking to in the first place. It's your first big realization. The moment I switched that up and started to then incorporate the inbound training that I needed to do, so getting my content right, my audience building right, the revenue directly scaled consistently on it. Now, that also was a result of me changing my offer, changing what I was selling, and you can see the journey that we've been on. But when you line all of these things up, that's where the biggest difference is made. Your audience and how you build up your audience is critical. Now, before I move on, does that make sense? Just give me a yes in the chat if that's all. Is that clear to you in terms of the big realization there? hugely important for you to do. Because when you do that, you can then move into building the right offer so it speaks directly to those people. What I've noticed, and I found this with my own business as well at the beginning, was that I was solely reliant, before I knew all of this stuff, on word of mouth referrals. So in my property business, I relied on, when I was raising investment or raising finance for the deals that I was doing, I relied on other people saying, like, you should speak to Chris. He's very, very honorable. He knows what he's doing. He may be brand new. He may be young. He may be naive, but he's worth a go. That was the sort of thing that people were saying. And it was great when I was out there and I was active. But the problem was it was very up and down. And I don't know if anyone else realizes, like, sees this as well. Like with word of mouth or your marketing, like you're either really, really busy or really, really quiet. Like it's what we call not sustainable. And it was something that I hated when I was in business at the beginning. And the biggest reason why, like, sales weren't coming in consistently, leads weren't coming in consistently, was because at the time, the way that I was marketing, the way that I was selling, unfortunately, was a little bit confusing. And if I was going to be really honest with myself, the people that I was talking to didn't want what I was selling. And I'm going to show you an example of this in a second, but it is the most important thing to be self-aware of. If you are getting objections like, I can't afford it, or I don't have time, or it's not a priority for me right now, people unfortunately don't want what you're selling. That's kind of the truth. Because you know what? We've all been broke, right? We've all been in the position where we've had no money, but managed to find something or some little bit of it to be able to afford the thing that we really wanted. Right? We're all guilty of it, right? With time, we've all been busy, but we all find ways to be able to nip down to the shop, or we find ways to go to the cinema, or we find ways to be able to spend a bit more time with the kid. We've found time to be able to do it. And the not a priority one right now is just obvious. It's the truth. It's just not a priority. The fact of the matter is, typically 9 times out of 10, they just don't want what you're selling at that point in time. And so what you see is a lack of response when you're promoting, and a feeling that all of your social media activity doesn't work. And so what I want to hear, like, make you realize at this point was the realization that I went through, and the proof was in the numbers with this. So I knew that I had a hungry audience. I knew that my audience, I'm going to move fast forward now to when I had an Instagram agency and a training company. I knew that people wanted to buy from. I knew what people wanted to learn about Instagram, right? I knew it because I did used to run 2-day Instagram masterclasses. Now, Sam's actually there in the corner there. I think she was posting an Instagram post with some new hashtags on at the time. And you'll notice the date, February 2020. For about a year and a bit, I was selling 2-day Instagram courses. I copied Sam's business model. Sam had a 2-day LinkedIn course that she was running. I thought, well, I'll just run a 2-day Instagram one. And I struggled with it. I really did. And it was because it was called a 2-day Instagram course. I was like, well, I thought that was what people wanted. The numbers, like I was selling typically 6 tickets at 500 quid. So I was making sales, but I was working like a dog to be able to do that. And in March 2020, obviously something happened in the world. And that big occasion forced me to stop running offline trainings and move to online. And that was where the How to Gain 1,000 Followers in 30 Days challenge was born. Now, I didn't realize this at the time, but this had such a monumental impact on my business, and also understanding of how what we label things has a direct correlation to how much money we make. I'm actually curious, for those of you that are here, can you already see the difference between calling something an Instagram 2-day course and a How to Gain 1,000 Followers in 30 Days challenge? Who'd be more inclined to buy the 1,000 Followers in 30 Days challenge over, if you are, put the number 1,000. Let's see the split. Who would buy the 1,000 follower challenge, put the number 1,000? Who would buy the 2-day course? Some people do like the 2-day course, but it seems to be that the majority on here want the 1,000 followers in 30 days challenge. Your numbers were backed up the month afterwards. So I spent building up a massive waiting list. I did a month of promotion, building up a waiting list. And then throughout April, all the way through to the middle of May, I ran webinars like this. And I've never seen results like it. You'll see the 2 days that I ran webinars there, literally 2 days, bang, bang, bang. Sold it initially for 60 quid, realized it was too cheap, put it up to 300 quid. The numbers on this were literally ridiculous. I've never made that much money online. And do you know what I realized? I had the people in my audience already. They were willing and waiting to buy from me. They just wanted me to sell them something that they wanted. And so framing things is really, really important. And when you go through that whole model, so we do this with every client that we work with. We go through the product, we then go through the audience, we then go through the offer and the message. We go through all 4 of those sections. Just by doing those subtle changes makes connection on this platform even easier. So connection is where we now talk about building that LinkedIn audience up. So we've got the product, we've got the audience defined, we've got the offer defined. Now it's about getting the traffic, to getting people who are going to support and also people that are going to buy. And this is split into 3 sections on LinkedIn. So you've got prospecting, you've got engaging, and then you've got posting. Now, prospecting is the combination of network building and outreach. And on the right-hand side there, you can see the example of the automated message that goes out on my account every single day to 50 to 100 people. You need to be building your profiles, like I mentioned before, with active and interested in people in what you've got to say. That I've already explained. Okay, go out there and find people that are going to engage in your content and also become customers in the future. Split it. The biggest thing that you've got to do is realize that your content is not the thing that's going to generate you revenue. The first bit of revenue generation activity when it comes to LinkedIn is your outreach. Now, you're not going to sell directly on this platform. Out of interest, how many people have received a crap direct message in the last month from LinkedIn? Someone that's like blatantly looking to pitch them. I'm getting inundated with people that are trying to sell me AI services at the moment, right? It's so difficult to be able to get through to these people that they're literally setting fire to their money, or even worse, just simply wasting their time. They're never going to work. And so what you've got to realize is a bit of reverse psychology and a bit of focus on understanding what's going to get your ideal target market's attention. Because I only send messages to people that look like my target market. Most people are sending them without any real thought. They think that if they just send 1,000 of them, that eventually someone's going to respond. That is not true. I have tested this for years. And there are a number of different approaches that you can use. This is an automated approach on the right-hand side. So this is automated. It is focused on building our email list every single day. We also have some that Sam run, which is what we know is her corporate prospecting. And corporate prospecting is used to generate clients that are going to be spending 10, 20, up to £50,000 on a training program or a development program. So depending on what it is that you're looking to sell will determine the campaign that you have. But one thing remains the same across the whole board. No matter the approach, it needs a bit of TLC and it does need a bit of focus, because if your messages aren't getting responses, it's not because LinkedIn doesn't work. It's because, unfortunately, you're not very good at it. And I don't mean to sound arrogant or a dick or anything. I just want to tell you the truth. People respond to direct messages every single day if what you're sending is actually decent. The platform is more alive than ever, as long as you know how to get the attention. You can see here on the right-hand side, the messages that I get. I've just got a thumbs up from someone, actually, from a message that's been sent whilst I'm on here. People either saying thank you, or I think there's normally one on here that says no thank you. Like, this isn't for, you can see here, great to connect, but this isn't for me, from Ollie Johnson there. Some people say, do you know what, go away, Chris, not interested. But the majority of people, you can see, thank you, I appreciate it. Now, out of this, between 5 and 10% go on to join my email list after about a 30 to 60-day period, typically. But that's because the message is filled with useful information that people want. And when it comes to corporate prospecting, you can see from what Leanne went through here. Leanne was our old sales manager when she was out there corporate prospecting for Sam. This was when Gal went on to be a client. Gal is extremely successful on LinkedIn now. But you can see video prospecting is a way that you can generate some business. You can see here the conversations that Leanne got into. Now, I'm not going to read these out, but you can see call booking generated. This wasn't a one-off. You can see here, Thierry in the same way actually went, sorry, as long as you are not number 15 trying to sell me something today. These are old examples, right? It's about with the, but I keep them in here because it is so key to understand that even if someone tells you to go away, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. Thierry went on, he still attends a lot of our workshops actually, doing amazing things with the company that he's with at the moment. But with it, it's about understanding how to communicate online, how to have conversations online. And Maria, yes, you can 100% systemize this, but you've got to understand what to say and how to say it. And that would literally be a 60-minute workshop on its own, right? I think there's over 2 hours of content inside of our academy on prospecting. But engaging is something which I won't lie, I hate. I hate engaging with comments. Does anyone else hate commenting on LinkedIn? You're all told that you need to do it, right? Does anyone else hate it like I do? It drives me up nuts. I forget to do it. I hate to pretend to care when I don't really care. However, you speak to everyone that teaches LinkedIn, it's something that does play a part. Now, it is not compulsory. I very rarely do it. But in terms of engagement, there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. And it would be wrong for me not to talk about it. In-person networking, right? We've all been to an in-person networking event before, I imagine. Engagement on the newsfeed is actually a simple way to online network. Very easy to do. And it does, if you think about it logically, give you the ability to be able to get the attention of someone you might want. So you may have a CEO of a Fortune 500 company that may be not very active on LinkedIn, maybe put something out there, maybe once a week. Now, they will be getting bombarded with messages, right? Hundreds of them a week. So getting through them through the inbox may not be the smartest way. What we do whenever we're looking to target is run an engagement campaign. This is what we do on Sam's account, an engagement campaign and a messaging campaign in line with each other. And so the engagement would be a series of comments over a couple of weeks window to be able to get the attention, because even a person at that level loves getting a comment on their content, because that's the only reason they're posting it, really, is to get a bit of an ego push of those impression numbers. We all get it. We all love it. We all get that viral post that goes out there. If you don't, you will. And you're addicted to LinkedIn. Nick, I don't know if you're still here and you're watching, right? But the amount of times where you've got a post going out and we're sitting there on a Zoom call and you're like, sorry, I've just got to respond to my comments. Even you get caught in the trap. Does anyone else get caught in the trap of engaging? Like when you've got a post that's doing well, a bit of momentum going, you can't help but keep commenting back. Even I do that, right? Even I do it. And so, Nick, I've already told you his background for everyone that's still here, right? That's listening in now. Really pay attention to this. Nick has sold his business for multi millions of pounds. And even he gets caught into the commenting trap. So if you want to get the attention, that is why engagement is so key. You don't need to do a huge amount of it. 10 minutes a day. Don't do any more of it, really, because it's actually not going to make the difference. There's lots of things that you need to be doing in the background to get this working. But just 10 minutes a day to get that person's attention is really key. I've already been honest with you. I don't spend very much time doing it because realistically, I don't need to be able to get my target market's attention. The people that I want to speak to, right, want my help. Like, I've built up a process. I've got the email list. I've got the data, so I don't need to. But that doesn't mean it's not an important thing to think about. You need to create your core list of people and show up every single day. In terms of automating responses, Maria, I wouldn't recommend it. You can, but I wouldn't recommend it. So that's engaging. We can now move on to posting. So again, please keep taking notes. Please make sure you're asking questions if you have any. But most people, when it comes to content, either default to sharing nothing or sharing information that is way too intense and way too boring in terms of link to what it is that they do on a day-to-day basis. Most people, when they train content creation, talk about documenting your journey, sharing your wins. But unfortunately, it's a bit more complex than that. And to drive your impressions up, There are certain types of content you need to get out there. And when you get the right strategy in place, it's amazing how fast things change. I always ask our clients to send us impression screenshots just to show us the difference. You'll notice the gradual increase every single time with every person that we work with. You'll see the spike. Consistency is important when you're consistently doing it right, not when you're consistently getting 300 impressions or 1,000 impressions. It's not enough. Like, these are just some examples of some of the content I've posted just in the last few months, right? So 45,000, 40, we're not talking millions of people here, but enough to be able to position myself and showcase that I know what I'm talking about. Now, these things could be talking about anything. When someone comes to my profile, see what I do, see the fact that I get attention, suddenly people are interested. And unfortunately, that's a fact that lots of people don't want to hear. But if you want to play this game properly and generate business from these platforms, you've got to learn it. And when you do, you can see results that Philippa got there. She took her followers from 7,000 to 7,600 in 5 days with 32 messages of people wanting to work with me. When you get your content right, that's what you get. You can see here, this was a message that we got in from a lady called Charlie. Joined my first call yesterday, got my first win. I rewrote my intro post with the help of Nick's tweaks. I sent it out to the world and I got a DM message from a guy I worked with years ago. So happy because I never get DMs. You'll get them when you post about the right things. And this example here is from my fiance, Zoe, actually. I speak about Zoe a lot on these because this is a huge example. Zoe has 900 followers on LinkedIn. She was able to reach 133,000 people with one post. And then when you do it, suddenly you get a few inquiries through. This stuff happens on a day-to-day basis when you talk about the right things. And the huge results come when you do it for a certain period of time to the right people. Matt Fletcher, another prime example, 127,000 views, talking about remanufacturing services, strong opinions on this industry, building his audience up with people that are interested in this industry. And then bang, I've taken on 18 new customers this month, all have come through LinkedIn. These are the sorts of things that happen when you apply it. And then you have a conversion-focused mindset. So all of the stuff that I've spoken to you about is totally and utterly pointless unless you understand how to convert. And the biggest issue that so many have with platforms like LinkedIn is that they either are reactive. So number one, reactive. So they're active on the platform, but then sit back and wait for things to happen. And unfortunately, you just don't get enough, or it just never happens. Or two, are proactive, but they just have no idea how to approach people to have the conversations they are looking for, and so feel like they're wasting their time. So out of interest, number one or two, which one are you? Are you someone that's currently on the platform and waiting for business, number one? Or are you proactive, number two, and just not getting the responses that you're after? You will fall into one of those brackets without a shadow of a doubt. That is the split. And so looking at it here, we've actually got quite an even split. So that's actually cool. Perfect. Again, perfect. Because with this, when you, at least if you understand it, you can then do something to fix it. And it doesn't take much. If you're on the platform, it's relatively straightforward. Now, do you want to know the biggest reason why people don't see the leads and sales they want from their social media activity? Give me a yes if you want to know the biggest reason why. This is a huge, huge realization that I have mentioned already today, right? It is critical that we understand this. It's because their connections and followers aren't on social to buy from them. They're not. This is a huge, huge fact. They are not on there. They're not in the right mindset. Most are struggling because they either are trying to sell too much and sell too often and sell too early, or they're not promoting what they do at all. And the moment I realized the importance of building out a marketing and sales process was the moment everything became so much easier. Building out and understanding how this process works is the most important thing if you are utilizing social media right now. I utilize my social media profiles. I'll hold my hands up and be honest with you to showcase what we do, but share my views on the world in general. I talk a bit about social media, but realistically, I talk about the things that I'm opinionated on. And even though I don't want to do it, I do it because it plays a big part on traffic acquisition. If I didn't do that, I'd have to go out networking every day. And I don't want to do that. I want to do this instead. And so I've got to feed the platforms with what it wants. And you can see the example on the right-hand side there, right? somebody inquiring because they related with something that I said. Loved your post tonight and watch your YouTube clip. Tomorrow is the document. Thank you. I'm sure we'll speak soon. And then bang, by Monday, she signed up. She joined. Our direct messaging process is the thing that generates our business, really. That's the thing that gets everything moving. Our process uses our email list as the link between our socials and conversion case content. Now, out of interest, for those of you who has an email list at the moment, just give me a yes in the chat if you have an email list at the moment. Now, building your email list up is the most critical thing that you can be doing to be able to generate social media results. If you're not building your email list up, that is your biggest mistake. The majority of you on here, I guarantee you joined this because you got an email from me. If you got an email from me and you joined off the back of an email, put email in the chat just to showcase so you can see the actual journey that people have got on here. If you joined me because you saw a social media post, put social in the chat. I want everybody to see this. Some of you are posting to hosts and panelists, which is fine. But actually, there's enough people saying everyone to see how many people come from email. 1, 2, maybe 10 maximum, looking at the numbers on here, would have come from social. Now, this whole process here is what we call a campaign. Okay. Now, you can see here, LinkedIn is part of it, and it connects to a control mechanism. We teach this, right? So you don't need to worry too much. We teach this. Now, you've got your email magnet, your lead magnet, the thing that you give away for free to drive people to your email list. You'll notice we automate our messaging to drive people to our email list. Now, with that email, what I'm doing is promoting then conversion pieces of content. This workshop is one of those. And you can see here the stats for you to be able to screenshot. 80% of the people that come and buy from us end up coming off the back of an email. 20% come from our new marketing efforts. Now, with this, there is huge opportunity when you understand the numbers. And really, now, I went, I think, a week without posting. Like, we've still managed to fill this workshop in its entirety. Like, we're flying with it. You could remove our social media accounts from us, all of us, and we'd still be fine for about, I reckon, 6 to 12 months. Over time, it would deflate, but over the last 4.5 years, our email list crossed over 22,000 people. As a business, we're protected. We're not at the mercy of an algorithm. This is why I'm trying to drive this home on every workshop that I do. You need to focus in on email list building. If you're not, you are leaving 80% of your current opportunity on the table. Because like I say, 80% of our results come from email. So if you're not sending emails, there's people there, if you could just collect their email, that will then buy from you. So have a think about your current customer journey. And then have a look at this process here, right? What we do with people is actually understand, you can see here, we've got product, offer, audience, and message. We train on all of this because we have to. This is the stuff that's going to make all of this work. You then have a load of different connection pieces of activity. Now, you start with one, which is LinkedIn today, and then you introduce others and you automate as much of the activity as possible. We train every element of that. You then have the control mechanisms. So this is how you turn a connection into a lead. And you do that by collecting their email address, PDFs, workshops, mini courses, videos. You then have live webinars. So this is the conversion piece. Again, you can do multiple and you automate. Live webinars, sales calls, free sessions, audit scorecards. For me, I run live webinars, sales calls, free sessions, audits, evergreen videos, and then we do have a scorecard, but it's not active at the moment. So this is why we're generating so much business, because we've got so much conversion activity going on. And then I utilize order forms and closing calls to do the deal. This is what you need to get in place, right? You need to find your product market fit, right? You need to be able to make things easy for yourself. You need to identify how you're going to build out your email list. You automate this as you go. Then you pick and build your conversion vehicles, your webinars, free sessions, sales calls, proposals. Then you generate your sales opportunities and close the business consistently. And you then, like I say, automate 85% of that manual work. So you can focus in on what you're good at and the thing that you wanted to do when you launched your business in the first place. This is the facts. There's nothing. This is all we do. And the moment you get this in place is the moment everything becomes easier. And so some big pieces of advice for you is do not guess your way to success, right? Understand that this is the truth. And this is the thing, if you're not seeing results from social right now, that you need. You need to take your prospects on a journey and share experiences that help strangers realize that you know what you're doing. Selling to people that don't know who you are. So selling to strangers is a process, right? It's not something that happens straight away. And so with it, the proof is everywhere online for us. So this is a client of ours called George. We went through the exact same process with him. So we created his offers, defined his packages, made sure that they were in the right language. We put on some workshops. We ran some campaigns. And with it here, you can see the content performance. For those of you that are in property, this is what we do, right? 95,000 impressions there we saw on that one. We then looked at his Facebook and got that going as his second platform, 1.5 million impressions on Facebook, 1.3 million impressions on LinkedIn. And then from that there, he was able to raise a shed load of funds and also then generate 60 grand in November from education stuff as well. Like, it's about understanding how all of this works, because I'm here to tell you right now, if this was easy, you'd already be getting results from it. And there are so many people out there trying to make this sound like it is straightforward. Every little detail matters. And it's about always looking to improve and always looking to systemize and automate as much as you can. And that is what we do in the Social Selling Academy. We train you on how to do this. So there's 4 things that we include within our package. It's the training, the accountability, the mentoring, and the technology, right? All of this, like, we train in both community aspects and also in videos. So we have videos for everything, training programs on everything, workshops on everything. So you can learn what you need to do to build this process, how to build it, how to then understand if it's working, and then how to automate it. We then have them all that you can see here in roadmap format. So step-by-step format for you to work through. Us as a team drive you through that. So everything from clarity, so product and offer, all the way through to how you deliver your service. We are business growth. We are helping you grow your business sustainably in the same way that we have. We generate so many incredible results. You only have to look at Sam's profile, my profile, all of the reviews that we've got. But it's because we're a team of 6 that specialize in different things, and we're the ones that work with you on it. So I specialize in marketing and sales strategy. Sam's our LinkedIn expert. Nick's obviously a focus point of business growth. Zoe works on sales funnel systems and graphic design. Elise and Tor then work on the social media strategy, LinkedIn development, training as well. We set you objectives, right? You set your own objectives as well. And then from there, we work together to be able to achieve them. All we ask is that you listen to us and then apply and then be open to adapt as we grow, because our results, like we've shown, speak for themselves. We then remove any room for error. So we offer mentoring and consulting as part of it. You can see here all the questions that are being asked in our community chat there. We run live coaching sessions every Monday at 12 p.m., every Thursday at 2 p.m. If it's a bank holiday Monday, it misses it. But every Monday and every Thursday, we're running live coaching sessions on certain elements of this process. And we build out a 30-day plan with you, and then we review your progress as you go. So we're always looking inside of the community to drive people forward. We then also have all of the technology. So we know how much money people spend on all these different types of software. We provide email marketing software, landing pages software, and we're launching the suite of tools that you can see there for you to be able to use. So we teach you on how to use them. It's all included for the most ridiculous price, right? So today you have the opportunity to join us to get access to the training, the group sessions, the community. We run challenges every month. You get access to all the software, all of my templates, all of Sam's workshop templates. You get discounted tickets to our quarterly masterminds. You get to attend our in-person mastermind for 100 quid. All of that for just 50 quid a month. 50 quid plus the VAT. So some people aren't paying VAT at the moment. So there is plus the VAT on. It is literally £1.67 a day. And we will train you on how to build this business properly. So I think I've given you quite a lot of value in this anyway for free. 50 quid a month, and we'll then give you the how-to tutorials on all of it. And so to join, I'll put the link in there just because maybe that QR code, like you say, isn't working. I don't know why it wouldn't be working. But if I do .uk/join, that link is there for you as well, and for you to be able to do. So the QR code and the link is there. But today, what I'm also offering, and I'm doing these next week for people, I've just done a load of calls with people this week and last week as well. But for this week, like we're going to be focusing on this social selling strategy for you. So how do you generate revenue quickly? So your low hanging fruit and then your sustainable plan. For the first people that join us, I'm throwing in a 45-minute session with me. So when you go through that link, you will receive my Calendly link. It does it for the first 5 people, and then it stops it. I'm only doing that because I've only got 5 hours allocated to delivery, which isn't already allocated to Academy customers anyway that we're working with. So that's for the first 5 people. It's a 45-minute one-to-one session with me, not a randomer, with me, where I'll pick apart your process, put it back together again, and give you that personalized plan right away as you get going. So that's really it today. Really straightforward, I hope. Now, again, lots of detail in there for you to be able to apply. I like to think that this is going to give you, even if this training hasn't, if for 50 quid, there's no contract here, right? So you're not having to work with this for a long period of time. It is a 30-day rolling contract. So the moment you want to leave, you leave, right? It's a 30-day notice and you leave. So come in and you can experience all of the training, all of them. I can't believe it is ridiculous. Everything that we're doing, people will charge us thousands and thousands of pounds for it. It's 50 quid plus VAT for a month. And then it's a monthly rolling commitment from there. It's a subscription. Come and learn this, because it is the thing that when you do it, you'll wonder why you've not done it a year and a half ago. It is so straightforward when you actually follow the tutorials, but it's the detail that matters, and we'll help you with that as you go through. So I don't know if anyone has any specific questions at all. If you do, please let me know. There is a Q&A box there for you to be able to ask anything. Maria has asked, what would you give away for investors? Now, in terms of investors, I've been in your position to raise money, right? So I look at guides, I look at video courses, I look at free investment strategy calls, all of these things that you can give away. You just need to work out what's right for your audience right now. No worries at all, Justin. Good to see you again. But that is it. That is the hour today. I'm hoping that was really, really helpful for you. Just give me a thumbs up or a yes. Was that useful? Did you take something away from today's session? Something that you can put into practice right away? Amazing stuff. I'm really, really glad. So yes, Maria, it is. So it's £50 plus VAT, and then the next month, £50 plus VAT, until you no longer want to do it anymore. Very, very simple. Again, for those of you that have joined, again, I'm not too sure how many calls are left because I'm completely blind right now. However, if you have any questions, please send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you very much, and goodbye.